Welcome to jQuery Helping Hands. Basically, this tool is a website tour guide, let's say. User clicks a help button on your site and it kind of highlights areas of the site, tells them about it, and then they can navigate next, previous, and move on through the tour. Let's go ahead and show you how to get it configured. First, you'll need to download the jQuery Helping Hands zip file. You can get that from clipboardcode.com. I'll put a link in the video description below. Let's go ahead and head over to clipboardcode.com. And from the menu, simply choose jQuery Helping Hand. Now it does have jQuery in the title because it does require the jQuery library, but it's pretty easy to set up. Alright, let's go ahead and scroll down here and I'll show you an example of what it looks like when it's configured. You can see here in this example it's highlighted in a data table, has some text that's displaying about the table, and a little navigation panel here with previous, next, and close to navigate through the different steps of your tour. Alright. Let's go ahead and go up to the download part and let's download that zip file. And inside the zip file there are 4 files. The example file, of course, just a simple example, and the README has instructions that are also on this website. The 2 main files that you're going to be needing are helpinghand.css and helpinghand.js. Of course, CSS is your style guide and JS is all the functions for Helping Hand. Alright, let's go ahead and put those on my web server. I have a local web server in my situation, just one file in there called mypage.html, and I'm just going to take that CSS and that JS file and throw it into my web server. Alright, go ahead and close that zip file. Let's go back to the documentation and let's go to the instructions, and it talks about what to do next. Create a file reference to the Helping Hand CSS, the Helping Hand JS, and jQuery, and include a little snippet. This one here even has a reference to Google APIs for your jQuery reference. So that's the only 3 lines you need on your head statement. So let's go ahead and copy that. Let's go back to my web server and let's edit that web page I have designed. And you see not much going on this page. There's basically a few divs. Here's a div with text, a div with a button in it, a div with more text, and a table with some data in it. The divs all have something called position absolute, so I can actually throw them on the screen wherever I want, just to show you that Helping Hand will work with position absolute objects, or it will work with things like this table that don't have any positioning at all. Alright, let's go to the head statement and let's paste in those code lines. So here you can see we have the Helping Hand CSS, the link to the jQuery, and the link to the helpinghand.js. Alright, let's go back to the instructions. It says make sure all objects that you want to highlight have an ID. Now what it's basically saying is, okay, I want to highlight this div. Make sure it has this ID here. This other div has an ID. This div has an ID. This table has an ID. Because what we're going to do is we're going to highlight, and it basically centers the area of the object, and then you can create a highlight zone and you can control how far up, down, left, or right that zone goes. We'll show you more when we actually set this up what that means. Alright, so everything has an ID, so we can go back to the instructions. Create some method to start the Helping Hand. Here I give an example of a button, and you notice this button is calling this function called Helping Hand. So that kind of starts the process. I'm just going to go ahead and take this button and throw it somewhere on my web page. Let's just put it here at the very top. Go ahead and save that. Now there again, that might be an icon, a graphic, something that your user does to actually start it. A picture of a help icon or something. It doesn't have to be this button that I have set up here. I'll go ahead and navigate to my web page and show you what it looks like so far. We'll go to the local host and mypage.html. There we go. We have that table, the button that we just created, and those 3 divs that have been positioned different spots on my page. Alright, now when I click the Start Helping Hand, it's not going to do anything because we actually haven't set up any steps for Helping Hand. Because we want to highlight this, then highlight this, and highlight this, and then go over here and highlight that. And that's the end of my website tour. Alright, let's go back to the instructions. Using the function call Helping Hand add step, create a series of steps that will guide the user through the website. And here it kind of gives a snippet of calling this Helping Hand add step function with a bunch of different settings. Now the settings are not all required, and there's a lot more than just shows in this example. So if you scroll down here, it even lists every single thing you can do. You can set the opacity of the highlight area. And that doesn't mean the highlight area, but the mask area. Make it darker or lighter to make sure that part you're highlighting stands out even more. The panel position, your next, back, and close panel, you can put it in the, let's say, northwest corner or the bottom of the screen. You can even use S for south or B for bottom. It'll work with either one of those settings. Panel text, this is kind of like a title to the navigation in case you want to say, hey, use this panel to navigate. There's optional text you can put in there. The text positioning, this is the text that pops up near your navigation area, and you can put it north, south, west, or east of your highlight area. Really important, because if you're on the left side of your screen, you don't want your text to be on the left side of the highlight because it'll be off the screen, so you probably want to move it over to the right side. The text you want to actually display, the ID of the object you're highlighting, and then the left, right, top, bottom is how far up, down, left, right you want to go with your highlight, and we'll show you that as we do it. And then an anchor tag that you want to jump to. For some reason your page is 20 pages long and your area you want to highlight is way down there, you probably need to create an anchor and then give it this ID of that anchor tag, and it will automatically jump the page all the way down whenever they go to that step. Alright, let's just go ahead and take this example and fill it out and see what's going on. Right, copy that, go back to my source code, and I'm just going to create a couple of script tags up here in my head section to create our steps in. Go ahead and fix my indenting real quick so it's easier to read. And here, helping hand, add step, it's asking for the ID that we want to highlight. And I just happen to have my div1 right here, so we'll just go ahead and leave it like that. And then it says, okay, what are your highlight areas from the center that you want to highlight? I'm just going to start with 50 right now and show you how to work with this. And then text, what text do you want to display? Welcome to step number 1. Even supports HTML, so I have a break tag right there, and click next when ready. Let's go ahead and save this and see what this looks like so far. Alright, go back to my website and I'll refresh. There we go. And I click the button, we start our event, and it highlighted this my div1. Now by default here I put everything as 50, so we got to play around with those settings to make sure it highlights the proper area. Now over here in our navigation panel we have previous, next, and close. Previous and next are grayed out though because we only have one step so far. When we add another step, this next button becomes ungrayed out. And then when we're not on the very first step, this previous step becomes ungrayed out. Alright, let's go ahead and take a look here. So too high, not wide enough. So let's go back to our settings, and let's adjust this width, or this left side, 110 pixels. The right we'll do 110, and let's do only 20 pixels for the top and bottom. Let's go ahead and save that and refresh and see what happens. So click the button again, and you can see that's pretty much dialed it in. And you'll get used to pixels and how far everything goes. It just takes a little trial and error to get it just right. Alright, so looking good. Let's go ahead and move this text area below here. Pretending, let's say I'm at the bottom of the screen, or here I'm at the top of the screen, I want this text to be below it. Alright, so let's add another property here. We'll call it text POS for position, and then we'll add it to, let's say, the bottom area. I could also do S for south. It'll work with either one of those. Alright, let's go ahead and save that. Then we'll refresh and start it again, and you can see that that text area has moved to the bottom of our highlight area. Alright, looks like it's working. Let's go ahead and finish up these other few highlight areas. I'm just going to copy this example and paste it. Now it does not require that you actually put everything in here. So I'm going to go ahead and delete all of this. I'm going to edit my step number to 2, and let's highlight div number 2 instead. So I don't have left, right, top, and bottom, or even text position settings. So let's go ahead and save this and then see what happens when I run it. Alright, there's our first step. I'm going to hit the next button. And there's our second step. And basically retained every single setting from our first step that we did not set and used it on our second step. So you're really only modifying the changes that you need between steps. So a lot of that stuff, especially if they're the same size, you can actually keep that. Now this might be a little too wide, so I might want to go ahead and come back in here and adjust that. And if I do need to adjust it, I need to bring in those settings. And let's just say, let's make this 80 pixels instead of 110. Come back here, refresh, going to step number 2, and that's a lot better of a highlight area. It's not bloating it too much. Now you notice I had to come in here and hit the next button just to see what I did worked or not. And if you have 30 steps, for example, you don't want to hit next 29 times every time you make a change. So the easy way to do that is simply just comment out all the steps that you don't care about at the time. So now when I start it, it'll actually start right here at this step. So let's go ahead and refresh, and you can see right now on step number 2 immediately. Now my top and bottom things messed up though, because it never did get these settings from the previous one. So that is one gotcha. If you want to get it accurate, go ahead and put all the settings in there, and that way, even if you're just testing the one setting, it has all the properties ready to go and looking good. Alright, let's go ahead and just finish this up and highlight the others areas. Go and paste that a couple times. We'll go to my div 3, and then my table 1 is the other object we had. And I'll go ahead and uncomment out that first step. Alright, so we have all 4 steps here. So let's go ahead and refresh. Start. We're on step number 1. We have our next button. Step number 2. Step number 3. I never changed the text, so it says step number 2, but it's step number 3. And then we're moving over here to the table. There again, I did not adjust the top, bottom, left, or right highlight areas, so but for this example, you can kind of get the gist of where I'm going for. And we can go previous, next, previous. There's a lot of other settings, like you can even tell it which area you want this navigation panel. So something else you can do, for example, this is a button. Let's say I want my tour of my website to be more interactive. You can actually have this button or some other user event fire off this next automatically. So let's go back to the website and scroll down here into other, and you can see all the function calls you have access to, and there's HH next right there. So we can actually create the next event. So let's go to my website code again, and let's find that button, and inside that button and the on-click event, I'll just go ahead and make a call to HH next. Alright, let's go ahead and go back and refresh and see what we get. Step number 1, go next. Step number 2, now this time I'm not going to click the next button, I'm actually going to click this button here, and it's automatically gone to the next step. And that button, of course, can do a lot more than just next. If you actually have code and need it to your website to do something, you're actually, this is your website. You can see anything that's in the highlight area works just like your website. I can highlight text, for example. Now I can't highlight this text up here because it's behind the mask, but anything in the white area is your website, and you have full control of actually clicking, right-clicking, selecting, whatever you need to do in that highlight area. Alright, that's pretty much it for jQuery Helping Hand. Hope you enjoyed that. Let me know how you like it. If you find any bugs, want to talk about enhancements or anything, also let me know. Head over to clipboardcode.com and look at the other projects I have, maybe some other snippets you might find interesting. Have a great day.